Hello, future computer scientists. Today I'm going to teach you just the basics of building a web page using HTML, which is the programming language that is still very much used to build a lot of web pages. And then we're going to make it look pretty by using a little bit of CSS, a different programming language. So let's get started with that. My name is Britt. I work for the Pikes Peak Library District in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. Let's go. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and build our website. So I first kind of wanted to show you what we're going to do. So it's going to be pretty simple. I'm going to teach you guys how to change the title of the tab. I'm going to show you how to use a heading, how to import an image or a GIF, and then some text formatting things and how to change like font color and background color as well. So when we're changing kind of the way things look, like the background color, the fact that this is centered, the fact that there's some space here, that's going to be done in a programming language called CSS, which stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Style being the operative word. A lot of the reason websites look the way they do is because of CSS. So we're going to learn a little bit of that, but most of what we're going to do is in HTML. So let's get started with that right now. So go ahead and you need some sort of like Notepad word processing text editor here. Like I said, I'm using Notepad Plus, which is designed more with programmers in mind, but you can use whatever, Notepad or whatever is on your computer. I will also link to the Notepad Plus if you'd rather use that. All right, so when you're writing HTML, you write a series of tags, and the tags are things in between these two little arrows, right? So when you start, all HTML documents start the same way, which is with this doc type tag. So it's exclamation point doc tag type HTML in its own tag. All right. Okay. So one thing to know about HTML tags is that there's normally an opening tab and a closing tab, and you can tell the closing tag because it's got this little backslash next to it. And then, so anything that you put in between these two tags will be influenced by those tags. So the title tag actually is how you title the tab of your document. So we're going to say curses of book review, and that's what we're going to name it. And that's what I want to call it. So I'm going to have that there. And then we're going to go ahead, and HTML has some built-in sizing. So the H3 tag that I just used is actually a header. So you can make it bigger or smaller by using the H1 to H5 tags. You're just going to want to play around with it and figure it out. So let's say curses a book review. All right, and let's take a look at what we've done. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to save that. And then we're going to open it right on up. Awesome. And so you can see here that we did in fact change the name of the tab, and we did also manage to get our header up. And if you're like, but Britt, yours is centered, don't worry, my friends, we will get there. All right, and that's going to come in when we kind of do our CSS. I am going to show you a couple of other things you can do really quickly. First, actually, if you did want to center this, center tag is a thing. Okay, and so you can nest tags, as you can see here. I've got the center tag within the heading tab. And so that means everything inside these tags is going to be centered and in that font size. The other thing I want to do is, because it's a book title, I think I'm going to go ahead and italicize it, which I can do with this little I tag here. And if you need a list of tags because you don't know, this W3 resource, w3schools.com, they have a lot of great resources to help you teach yourself a bunch of different languages, but you can definitely, I would start with this HTML tutorial if you like kind of what you're learning today. So, cool. All right, and then let's save that and see what it looks like. Oh, look at that. Yeah, so now you see the heading is centered and curses is in italics. Maybe we want to add the author's name. and a space. And so you see this BR I put in there, that stands for break, and it's a line break. And you'll notice that I am not opening and closing it. It's a self-contained tag. So there are a few tags like that where you don't have to open and close it. You can just do it. Okay, so let's see what this looks like. Awesome. All right, I'm just going to move where I have the break, and I need a space in there. Okay, so let's do that. I do often forget to put it in. All right, and then if I say I had closed center over here, then this would now be left aligned. All right, but we've got the heading more or less how I want it. So let's go ahead and put in the review itself. The last thing that we're going to do is change the styling, like the background color and the font and stuff like that. So most of what you do in HTML is going to be within the body of the document. So that's just you're just going to use a body tag. So I've got the title, the header, and then everything else is going to go within this body tag here. So within the body tag, we're going to have a paragraph tag. And so the paragraph tag is what you're going to use anytime you're using lines of text. Okay. And so I have saved my book review in a Word document. And you can see here, I'm going to go ahead and put each sentence on a different line, just so I can see what's going on a little easily. All right. And then we can go ahead and do the close paragraph. All right, let's see what this looks like. So I'm going to save and then refresh. Cool. Yep, that's what we wanted it to look like. Excellent. So there's some text there. So now I'm going to repeat that with the rest of my review. You'll notice I threw a break tag in here. So when I start the next paragraph, there should be a space. And then I don't need a break at the end because it's the end, but I do need to close the paragraph. And this is why I like Notepad, because you see what it's doing right now. It will show me the opening and closing tag and everything in between. And then if I click on body, you can see that that's the opening and closing tab as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and save that and then refresh our web page. Cool, awesome. All right, you can see that for whatever reason, because this ended right on a line. So our break basically took it to the next line, but then didn't. So we're just gonna add another one, save it and refresh. Ta-da, look at that, we have actual paragraphs. Okay, but you'll notice here, like I said, I've got a picture and then you'll notice there's some space in here. So let's go ahead and put in the picture because that's kind of the last piece of HTML that we need to write before we get into the CSS. So when you are inputting a image, you can do it in a number of different ways. So I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna do it, you use an image tag, right? And so we are gonna say the image source is, and look, now it thinks, once I close this, yeah, you'll notice how it went back to black. It's because everything in purple is it thinks is the link. So again, that's another just kind of advantage to using Notepad, is it helps you with these little colored cues as well. All right, so what I'm gonna do, you can do this in a couple of different ways. You can put the file location in here if you have it saved to your computer. I think it's easier to just go and copy the image address. So you can find the image you want, right click on it, and then just put that URL in between those two quotation marks, right? So it's a little longer, but I know it's on Goodreads, like that image is probably gonna be there for a minute. All right, and then the other part of an image tag is the the alternate text, right? So if someone is looking at this and they can't process images or for something like this, they'll see something that says Curse's book cover because that's what the image is. All right, so that's the alternate text. Okay, so let's do that. Let's save it and then let's see what we've done. All right, well, that is just a massive picture and we probably don't want it to be so massive. So the good news is we can go ahead and make a few changes in the code. So let's do that. All right, so we're gonna say, we wanna say the height, and when you're in HTML, I put things in pixels, which is kind of meaningless to me. But basically what that means is you just have to experiment a lot. So let's say the height is going to be 200 pixels and the width is going to be, I don't know, 50. Does it look like about I don't really know what the aspect ratio, which is the height to width ratio is of, so let's put in the pixels there as well. All right, so now let's see if this gets the image a little closer to what we want it to look like. Ooh, yep. All right, yeah, that's a little skinny. Whoops a daisy. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, well, maybe the width is more like 125. So if you can find the aspect ratio for the thing that you're working with, then you can do the math. Cool. All right, that looks good enough to me though. All right, so let's see. We want to go ahead and center it. I have not tried this, but I'm going to try a center tag to see if that works. When I was doing it, I did it with CSS, but it's actually going to be a little easier, I think, if I do it this way. All right, cool. So let's see if that worked. It did. Oh, that's way easier than doing it with CSS. Okay, cool. But now I am going to teach you just a little bit of CSS so that we can beautify our web page. So let's go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is we are going to, there's a couple of different ways to use CSS within HTML, but I like to do it in a style tag. And I normally do it for the body. All right, and then that way we can work within these two tags. Okay. So when you're working with style sheets, you create a lot of what's called a class. And so we're going to call this class body. That's going to be the name of our class. All right. And then once you name your class, you use a brace. And then you're going to tab and write in kind of the different components that you want to change. So our body, we're going to say, we want our font family, and you can say font, font family, font style, font size. Let's say we want our font family to be Arial, and we want it to be sans serif, because that makes it easier for folks to read. All right, so we want the color of the font to be, let's see what happens if we make it, we'll just make it black. All right, and then we can do, but I'm about to show you, and so this is the other benefit to Notepad is it knows where you're going, so you don't have to type everything out necessarily. You can also be like, is this a tag? And a lot of the time it is. So it helps with guesswork. All right, sorry about that little aside, but yeah, so background color. How do we figure out? A lot of the time, the background color is gonna be a code. So that, that lovely green that you saw was that color. And like I said, I'm going to show you how to pick a different one. All right. And then I do want a margin because this is what's going to keep this text from being totally flush to the end. So let's say we want a margin of like 20. So it's just not right up there. All right. And then you are going to put semicolons at the end of each of these little lines here. And then we need to close our braces. And we've already closed the style tag. All right, if you wanted to change the font size, you could do that as well. I would probably do that in a paragraph tag. Let's see what we've done here. All right, so we've saved it. Now we're gonna refresh. Awesome. So you can see we've changed the color of the background and we have put in a little bit of padding along the margins here, so it's not totally flush with the edges, which is what we wanted to do. So we are almost done. This was almost all I was gonna show you, but I do wanna show you how to change some of those color options. So this is W3 Schools. I was referencing them earlier, but they do have a lot of good CSS reference and stuff like that. But one of the things that they'll do is they'll tell you the CSS color codes. So you can kind of scroll down and decide on one that you like. I kind of want to go for like a lavender-ish color. Well, that doesn't look like lavender actually. And there are a lot of options. Yeah, I guess what I actually wanted was medium purple. And so you can click on it and copy the code. So that's where you can find that little code. There are other places you can find it as well. But go ahead and use W3 Schools, because if you have questions, or if you're like, I wonder if I can do this, it's a really great place to start. All right, so we've changed that. Let's see. Ooh, and now it's a lovely purple color. So that's really all I had to teach you guys today. So hopefully that gives you a taste of just how easy it is to manipulate and kind of code a web page. If your image source, like this is a JPEG, if it was a GIF, it should pull in the GIF. So if you are a GIF person, you can use GIFs. But go forth and experiment. And if you have any questions, I will link to some other options below. Okay, so if you want to take your newfound coding skills to the next level, I recommend this book. It's called Get Coding, Learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to Build a Website, an App, and a Game, and it's sponsored by the folks at Young Rewired State. I'm going to link to it in the library catalog in the description. I'll also include some links to websites like the W3 Schools that we were using, stuff like that in case books aren't your thing, but I really do strongly recommend this for kids and for adults. I've used it in grad school to refresh myself on a few concepts for computer science classes. So again, highly recommend this or any of kind of the links that I have below. Thanks so much for sticking through this video. Check out some of our other Teen Tech videos.